I'm Gabby Gonzalez, and we are back here with Joel Platt, the man who has traveled 1,000,000 miles for 1,000,000 mementos, and we are currently in the Sports Immortals hockey room. Joel, you have literally every sport in your collection. You have memorabilia from hockey, from baseball, from tennis, from basketball, every sport. So we have some of your most memorable moments in front of us, right?
Mm-hmm. I've traveled 1,000,000 miles to curate over 1,000,000 mementos, the largest collection in the world. It's recognized by the Smithsonian. My journey began in the late 50s with Mrs. Honus Wagner. I traveled to Carnegie, PA, met Mrs. Wagner. It happened to be on Mother's Day. And her daughter, Virginia, was there at the time, introduced myself. At that time, I was playing shortstop at Duquesne University.
Okay.
And Honus Wagner, the greatest shortstop of all time. We were both bow-legged, so they used to call me Young Honus. So when I told Mrs. Wagner about that, it just struck a note, and she went and got me a uniform, and this is his last hat and his last glove. Very inspiring experience, and it set me on my way. And I've traveled 1,000,000 miles, but that was the first journey.
This is a big glove. No?
And that was his last glove.
Wow, I'm liking the purple and the blue. And I see a signature here.
That is Joe Louis, one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. I had visited no less than his 3 wives and got various mementos of Joe's. And he came to Pittsburgh, where I'm originally from, and I met him out at the hotel he was staying. He brought me these trunks from one of his fights that he autographed.
Wow.
And we have 2 different trunks that he had wore in championship fights.
I see that this one has his initials on it too. So that's how you acquired it. You met him at a hotel near where you're from?
I met him at a hotel, and he was very nice. We took pictures, and we have a picture of him signing those trunks.
Yeah, I know he had some big fights during World War II, right?
He fought in the 30s, and he was one of the great champions in the early 40s. And he fought one of the great champions from Pittsburgh, Billy Conn, who actually was beating him. And in the 13th round, Billy Conn went out to try to knock him out, and he wound up getting knocked out by Joe Louis.
Wow. Let's move on to this. So I can already tell this is from Muhammad Ali, and I've seen recent signatures, and they are way smaller than this. So what's going on here?
That's a unique piece. That's a training suit that I received from Muhammad Ali. It was 1966. He was training for the Sonny Liston fight, and he gave me that. I'd met him at the 5th Street Gym in Miami. The night before, I'd met Angelo Dundee at a closed circuit championship fight as trainer.
Wow.
And he invited me to the gym. He invited me up to the dressing room, and I said, "Champ, my dad thinks you're the greatest champion of all time. You and Jack Johnson." He said, he jumped off his bench and he started exploring around the room. He said, "Your dad's right. I'm a big Sugar Ray." And then he yelled over to his trainer, Boudini, "Give the man anything he wants. Open up the trunk." So he brought out that training suit, and he autographed it and labeled it, his training suit that I
mean, it says to Joel Platt and the Sports Immortal Museum.
From Muhammad Ali, world's heavyweight champion, 1966.
Oh, and then there's something on the back.
Used in training for my first and second Sonny Liston fight and Floyd Patterson fight also.
Wow.
One of my favorite pieces, and we have hundreds of items from Muhammad Ali, including his championship belts and gloves from several of his fights, medals. When he won the Golden Gloves in Chicago in 1959, we have the medal, but we also have the gloves he used, signed by his father, Cassius Clay Sr., along with Muhammad Ali.
See, there's the smaller signature now. Was this after that?
That was after that.
Okay. Yeah, golden Wilson gloves. These are also pretty big.
Very rare, very valuable items.
And where did you acquire these from him?
I met his father in Louisville, and I obtained his Olympic items, Muhammad Ali's Olympic items.
Yes, we saw the jacket, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. He also had these gloves when Ali won the Golden Gloves in Chicago.
Wow. So speaking of Louisville, is this a Louisville Slugger we have in front of us?
Oh, this is one of 3 Babe Ruth bats in the collection, but this is my favorite. 1934, Babe Ruth's last season with the Yankees. I secured this bat on a trip to New York when I met Mrs. Babe Ruth. She lived in a swanky apartment on River Drive, and I knew if I went to the front desk, I'd never get to see her. So I found out what apartment she lived in, went up the back steps, knocked on her door, had made this souvenir gift for her, cut out Babe Ruth's picture, applied it to plywood, and jigsawed it out and made a base with wood burn, lacquered it, and mounted it like three-dimensional. Told her about my dream when I was injured in the gasoline explosion. My parents started buying me baseball cards, and my favorite card was Babe Ruth. And one night I had a dream that the Babe visited me in a dream and said, "Kid, don't give up. Someday you could be a Major League Baseball player, build a Hall of Fame honoring sports greats." So Mrs. Ruth, once I said that, she said, "Let me go down and get you some mementos." And she brought me back the last plaque that he was presented, one of the last balls that Babe Ruth signed, and it stated, in June 13th, 1948, and he passed away in August. And it's one of over 25 autographed baseballs of Babe Ruth in the collection, I might add. But this bat is unique, and we believe it's the last bat that Babe Ruth used as a Yankee, because it's autographed by Clear, his wife, and it's autographed by Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Tony Lazzeri, and all the Yankee greats.
That's amazing. This bat?
That's that.
Wow. Now there's another baseball here. What is this about?
Yeah, now this baseball was signed by George Mikan and Satchel Paige. And I took a trip in the late 70s to Minneapolis and met with George Mikan and interviewed him and taped him, and we've got some great audio. Told George, after I spent a couple hours with him, that I'd like to get some mementos of his, and he went over to his utility room and he brings out this garbage bag and he throws it to me and he says, "Joel, here's 4 of my uniforms. Take whatever you want."
Wow.
So we took a couple. It's one of his Minneapolis Lakers uniforms. I left there ecstatic and euphoria. Got to the airport, and I had been trying to get in touch with Satchel Paige in Kansas City, and after 500 calls and no results, bingo, at the airport, I get him on the phone, and he says, "I can't believe you found, I just got in from spring training. I was away for 2 months." And I said, "Satch, I'd like to fly down there and meet with you, and come on down." So I flew down to Kansas City and met with him, spent the day, and again, interviewed him, his great moments, how he got his name Satchel, etc. And he went up in the attic and he brought me down his Satchel Paige touring all-star jersey.
Yeah, wow.
And his Cleveland Indian jersey as well, and a lot of other mementos. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
And you had both of them sign this ball?
Had them both sign the ball.
Now, I'm seeing a big shoe over there. I think you told me that's from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he had a different name when you got it.
He was known as Lew Alcindor. This is 1970. He later changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So we have uniforms when he played for the Lakers and also Milwaukee. And when he played for Milwaukee, he was still Lew Alcindor. When he turned to the Muslim religion, he changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But these 2 mementos are unique. This is when UCLA won the championship in 1969, and he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. This has been photomatched to that cover.
Oh, I think I know which photo you're talking about too, and that's the jacket he was wearing.
That's the jacket he was wearing.
Okay, I love that. Can I see that shoe? Can you pass me it? What size is this? Do you know?
I would say that's probably about a size 18. But real unique, this is a 1970 All-Star game that I met him, and met him before the game, and he said, "If Joel,
16.
if you meet me after, I'll be glad to give you my shoes." During the game, a snowstorm hit Philadelphia, and I couldn't get to him. And as he's coming out to get on the bus, he sees me and says, "Follow the bus to the hotel, and I'll give you my shoes as promised." Sure enough, I somehow made it up this big hill to Ballas Inwood in Philadelphia, where the hotel was, the Marriott. And he was talking to a couple people, and as soon as I got off the bus, he noticed me and interrupted his conversation with these newsmen. And he said, wait, I've got to see my friend here.
Oh.
Went in the hotel, went in his bag, brought out the shoes and signed for me.
I love that. That's very wholesome. And it's cool because it says shoes worn by Lew Alcindor in 1970 NBA All-Star Game in Philadelphia. So he wore these in the game.
Absolutely.
Low top Converse.
That's it.
It says
and
All-Star.
By the way, you know, the Converse are coming back today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They've been pretty popular. That's pretty funny. It's actually funny. My grandfather played him in basketball in high school.
Really?
So, yeah.
In my opinion, he was not only a great person, a scholar, but just a great individual and one of the greatest players of all time.
Very good character, too, with how he was able to find you when he told you a promise of, hey, I'm going to find you once I get to my hotel and give this to you.
So he kept his promise.
He kept his promise, and he was excited about it. So last but not least, what do we have over here?
Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. And Ernie was a great friend. He was on our co-chairman on our honorary board of directors of the athletes. We had over 70 of the greatest. And Franco Harris and Ernie Banks were co-chairman. He came down to our Sports Immortals Museum several times, gave me this uniform from 1970, and they signed it Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks.
Wow. Which out of these, if you had to pick, is your favorite memento?
They're all like my babies.
I know.
So now if you had 10 babies laying out here, children, would you choose one over the other?
No.
I don't want them to get mad at me now.
It's okay. Well, the craziest thing about all of this is you have so many babies. You have literally millions of pieces of memorabilia, and I'm just so impressed that over your lifetime you've been able to collect all of this.
I got 1 million babies.
I know.
I could be the only father/mother with 1 million babies.
Okay, so the other babies can't hear us, but we'll be going over the other babies in some other videos, so make sure you like this video to stay tuned and subscribe to us so you don't miss a video for the Sports Immortals memorabilia collection.